How much longer do you have, buddy?
Like 2 weeks.
2 what?
2 weeks.
Weeks?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. I mean, it could be 3. Could be 3.
Oh my goodness.
Technically, it could be 4, but
Bless your
it could
heart.
also be 2 days, but probably won't be. I think I'm nice. I honestly, I don't feel right. I don't feel right at all.
Wow.
What is it called when you're not right? I feel like that. I feel green.
Well, I feel like it's naturally get to the point that you want out so bad you don't care what you have to go through to get it out.
That's what people say. Like, there's a reason that God makes you a little bit uncomfortable so that you're ready. But I'm not uncomfortable yet. I sleep good.
You're not uncomfortable?
Mm-mm. So I think I'll get uncomfortable for a second and then we'll be ready.
Oh, we're on.
Congrats.
Thanks, Lloyd. I'm posting real quick.
Yes, Lloyd is here. What?
Team Tuesday, smile together real quick. Here.
Hello, hello. Lloyd is here. I'm just posting really quick.
It's a fun group on YouTube Tuesday.
Is it?
You Tuesday.
You Tuesday. Why isn't this working? Okay, we have an awesome question that we're going to answer today. Okay. Who's here? Milka? Hooray
Sarah
for Loy.
Nursewig.
Sarah Nursewig. Papa Loy. Everybody's missed you, Loy.
I missed you. I missed them too. I got in Slack the other day and
Did you?
started reading some things and I loved it. Good Slack.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Made a few comments.
It's been
Oh,
amazing.
good. Yeah, Slack is like really popping right now. Slack is for our Academy members. We have something called the living room, which is where it's home. Think about a living room. It's home sweet home. And it's kind of like having guide culture in your back pocket. So our Academy students, they have like a living room with all of us and then their individual Slack cohort channel. So it's warm and cozy up in there in a lot of ways. Okay, so we have a really good question we want to answer this morning, and I'm just going to read it out loud. It is from somebody who's a cattle rancher. She said, I've always wanted to know how to sell our family's beef. Sometimes I think it'd be easier to sell if it were grass-fed or organic because I know those are trendy. However, I just know that grass-fed and organic go against our values. How do you sell something when it's not the trend and you know that what you sell is better without bashing the trend? So she's asking basically about trendy, how to sell something that's not trendy, how to sell it without bashing what is the quote trend, and also how to just stay aligned with your values. Mm-hmm. Luckily, we have someone on our team, Sarah. She's the head of coaches. She is also she's a cattle
rancher.
Is it rancher?
I guess, yeah.
In Kansas. And so we've got some cool information from her that we're going to share and just kind of talk through these points in general of selling things that are not trendy. I'm doing quotes because we're going to talk about that.
I have one question on that, though. She said what they sell is better than grass-fed and organic.
Right.
I guess my question is, what makes it better?
Yes.
Right.
We don't know that.
Well, we have some information.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Sarah Stapleton to the rescue.
Yes, Sarah Stapleton to the rescue.
And some antiquated knowledge in my head.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But at the same time, the principles of anyone who would ask those questions.
Because she's right. Those are very trendy words. And I'm curious to know what the truth is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kat, what do you think about selling something that is not, quote, the trend?
Well, when something is the trend, naturally that means that it's getting more attention. You're kind of going with the market, I guess. So when you're going with the flow of what people are attracted to and what's easily getting attention and what a lot of marketing dollars are going to. And naturally, when that happens, people's perception of something, which is really all that matters at the end of the day, their perception is there's more trust there. There's more willingness to lean in that direction. So trends are really powerful, even though that word can almost come off like, oh, I don't just want to go with the trend. I think our human nature actually does a little bit want to go with the trend. So when you're selling something that's not because it aligns with your values more, and you just know that you are going to go with the maybe tried and true solid rock decision for her is regularly grown beef, and we can get into some details, but for her, that's what it is. No sexy labeling, but really just staying like, I don't want to say boring, but I kind of do.
Oh, for sure.
Classic, boring, whatever you want to say, traditional. The best thing to do there is to actually create a depth of knowledge for yourself around the product that you have so that you actually can make it new and exciting. And at the end of the day, if you're selling something that's not the cool thing to do, we kind of think sales skills aren't the cool thing to be talking about, but they matter. Just like apparently to Michelle, this beef matters. So that's why digging in deep to get the level of enthusiasm, the conviction to where people actually do turn in your direction and they do want to know what you have to say about it.
Right.
Now I have a question. Another way to approach this is, so you have something, everybody's thinking this. So how do you put doubt in someone's mind about what they're thinking without bashing the competition and without becoming unlikable and untrustworthy? So how do you get doubt in there so that you can pivot and talk about why your product's better?
So maybe like poke holes in
if all this is trendy and you think you have something better over here, then you need to throw some doubt. You need to get doubt of why this works. But you don't want to do doubt the way they do in political news, where they just bash the competition. Because once you start talking bad about someone else, it makes you look bad.
Right.
So you got to find ways to get some doubt in there in a way that you're still likable and trustworthy at the same time.
Right. I know what comes to my mind first. I don't know if you were given an idea or a tip around that, but one of the things that comes to my mind is just being curious around why people make these choices. Because like I said, when money and attention and all this stuff is just naturally driving a trend, we make these decisions subconsciously. We're just human who want to do the right thing. We want to protect ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So if you're curious about the market, hey, why are you making that decision? What does that mean for your family? Have you, what have you learned about it? And then all of a sudden, maybe the doubt is, well, I actually don't really know why I'm making this decision.
And you could use you don't suppose that it could cause this, or some question like, do you suppose this could come out of this?
Right.
And then spin it to a confidence seeker. So it's why yours works really well.
Well, what's so crazy about a trend is just like someone decides that this is trendy, and someone makes the marketing cool and sexy. They make it look like clean and fresh and all of this stuff. And this happens all the time where people they just like believe something because of what they see. And we call these half-baked objections, which is basically like people just kind of do their own research and they're not really experts, but they just think a certain way because of what they saw. So for example, I don't know if you've ever had like a cold or sinus infection and you go to the doctor because you want a Z-Pack. You know that you're sick, you need a Z-Pack, it's going to help. And the doctor hears your symptoms and he's like, hey, like I hear that, you have a cold or sinus infection. Let's just like check your ear based on what I'm hearing, because I'm the expert. I went to school. I know all the things. What I'm hearing is like, you might actually have an ear infection. And turns out you do. You just like didn't know. Genuinely, you didn't know. And I feel like this is the case here, is like people just generally think organic is better. And so you get to be the person that like comes alongside of them and help them see. Here's an example. We did a little research on grass-fed versus grain-fed, okay? So let's say someone comes up to you and you're selling your beef. You're at a farmer's market, right? And they say, hey, is this grass-fed beef? And you could say, just kind of get some clarity. I mean, your gut might say, oh, no, we're not. Ooh, oh, no. Like, and just you almost automatically get defensive. But instead, you just say, hey, it's a great question. Is there a specific reason that you're asking? And they might say, well, I just really try to stay really clean, eat very clean, and eat only organic. It's like, that is so awesome. And you might just really want to get alongside of them and say, hey, I get it. Like, eating clean and fresh is really, really important. Tell me a little bit about like your lifestyle. Like, what do you do? What makes you enjoy eating beef? Like, why are you wanting to buy beef? Maybe you learn that they are a fitness competitor. They say, well, you know what? I love to have I have to have a lot of protein. I'm just sick and tired of chicken. I feel like all I do is eat chicken and I just need something different. It's like, oh, that's awesome. Good news. Just from a quick Google search, I was able to find that grain-fed beef is actually higher in protein than grass-fed beef. It's like, oh, well, that's so awesome. I had no idea. But I still just really want to eat organic. And what you can honestly do is just help reveal that actually the differences are so minuscule. In fact, Sarah messaged us and said that the fatty acid difference is between like one is 0.02 and one is 0.05. Like the difference is so small. They just really highlight the difference to make it feel like it's better and new and different, but it's actually not that different. And actually grain fed might be even better for you. And so the point is like you get to be the person that helps shed light on what's true because they genuinely don't know. And this is how most objections go. Like people genuinely have no idea. And so they just have these thoughts, these beliefs, these perceptions that aren't true. And so you get to help them see and have a new perspective based on what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most people would be like advertising educated or a little Google search educated.
Yeah.
But most people aren't in the depth of education that the professional in this business is going to be.
Yeah, it's such an awesome opportunity. And I think also like where people can get in a hole is assume that people like want the trend or assume that it even is a trend. Like what if it's not a trend and you're projecting that people want organic and they actually even don't want it or they don't even know that they want
circles
it.
all the way back to, I think you started with the depth of the product knowledge.
It's so
How do
important.
you say that in a sales conversation?
Yeah, it's so important. And what is so exciting here, is that when you, and she talks about how she has such a deep value in that she feels like convicted about it. And when you're convicted about one thing, like that is when you have the chance to master something.
Oh, yeah.
You can't master multiple things.
That's
like,
as good as it gets right there.
I just don't believe you can. And so
Yeah.
she is convicted and believes, like she has every just like, well, it feels like just like permission just to go all in on this one thing and be the spokesperson. Be the spokesperson that people need about this beef.
Right. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about bashing right now.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Because I think that what was the first point that we were saying?
Just about trend is
yeah.
Is trendy in your head.
You got the trendy thing over here that creates tension, right? And then you have the values over here that create tension because it's like amazing conviction, but frustration, right? On the spectrum. And then in the middle, I think bashing is the action that people take when they feel that tension. Yeah. And both of those tensions are real and they exist and we all live with them in some way, right? There's things that we like and then there's things that we don't like. So what's so crazy is that the human brain, it naturally can't, like you're not born being able to communicate, oh, grass-fed has this much omega-3 fatty acids or grain-fed beef actually doesn't have antibiotics when it goes to market. What this means for you is that you can be confident in the meat choices that you're making. In fact, when you eat it for fitness competition, you're actually going to, enjoy the taste and the protein, whatever. You're not born being able to just
know how to say
it. And so what happens, I think, is that the brain is resorting to a more emotional response, which is what it's not. Well, here's what we're not. Here's what we're not. Here's what we're not. Or here's what they are. Like pointing fingers. And like I've said like 100 times, I feel like it's just human nature. And that's why we believe sales skills are so important, is because you actually can take your human nature, remove yourself from it, insert product knowledge and say it in a framework that people can actually hear it. Because the person who just doesn't understand the farmer's market, they just didn't understand. And so it's almost like pointing a finger at a kid that's like, what's a good example of, like blaming someone for what they don't know. When what Macy's saying is that you can actually come alongside and be a counselor that communicates in a way that the person who needs to hear it, say the fitness competitor who just didn't know, can understand it. And this goes for every product in the world. We're talking about beef to be so specific, but I think every product in the world deals with this because every product in the world has competition.
For sure.
And has, a trendy counterpart potentially.
Man, yeah. And the thing about it's like gossiping. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Like when you gossip, it makes you look bad. That's what my mom done taught me in middle school, that you're the one that looks bad, right? And when you look bad, you're not liked. you're suddenly like not trustworthy anymore, right? Like if Kat starts talking about somebody else, I'm like, man, I better not tell her anything because she's going to go and tell somebody else. So when you don't trust somebody, you're likely going to buy from them, like unlikely going to buy from them, right? And what people hear, and you said this yesterday, how any attention is good attention is what they
all
say.
publicity is good publicity.
All publicity, Grant Cardone says all hate is great.
Yeah.
So like even if you're hating, you're still giving them publicity, you're giving them attention, you're
Right.
giving them,
Mhm.
that makes them just be like, oh, I'm actually
Giving them attention and making yourself look bad.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, don't press the red button, don't eat organic. Well, let me just like go look at organic and see like what it even is. Why are they talking so bad about it? And so just building value around yours, like that's what you want people to think about instead of don't not do something, but what to do.
Mhm.
In fact, my mother-in-law yesterday, she was like, so what do you want to tell, or not yesterday, whenever she came over this weekend, what do you want to tell Rush when he's like going towards the fireplace or going to the road? Like, we always said danger. I was like, yeah, I was like, what I also know is that I don't know much about kids, but what I do know is that direction is better than telling someone what not to do.
Yeah.
Just, hey, let's like do this and instead of don't do this. It's like the same
That's how
principle
that
here.
works.
Yeah. Like, hey, let's do this. Let's like be safe instead of don't do
You
that.
can give the same those two things back to back and watch the difference.
Yeah.
In how the
Yeah.
kid acts, because their little human brain
Wants to do what they're not
They,
supposed to do.
they hear the thing to the road. That's what
Yeah.
they hear part. They don't hear all of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We're all just little toddlers, aren't we?
Honestly,
Basically.
people are people.
That's why we talk a lot in the training about how words matter. Every single word we say matters. It just matters because it comes across and plants something in somebody's mind.
Right. Exactly. So the same principle here. And what's cool is that when you have conviction and product knowledge, you can so confidently build value in the right way. That makes people say, man, I had no idea. Like, thank you. Thank you for helping me see what I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You got anything else?
I would love for someone to ask a question. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
I know we swim in this tension too.
Mhm.
So I could give an example about what we kind of go through, but
Yeah.
I'd rather hear from someone else.
Yeah. Well, while it's
yeah.
lagging or while they're answering, why don't you give an example for us?
If you follow the guide culture content, we really put our flag in the ground with sales skills, which kind of like we started, they're not the sexy new thing. They're actually one of the oldest things because it's just people, like communication and helping people come to a decision. So how do you make that cool when the actually seemingly cool thing is, gosh, it's changed so much over the years, right? It was Instagram presets.
Oh my
Now some of y'all are
gosh.
probably gonna roll your eyes, like a preset. Who uses a preset anymore? I don't know. Maybe people do. Or like, just run an ad or just sell on TikTok, or here's the, kind of quick, easy, guaranteed way to do business online. And we're over here and there is that tension, just like I described with the beef. Like there's, gosh, like we believe this so strongly and a lot of other people's attention is on this over here. So instead of bashing those things, it's like, how do you just increase the value of sales skills? And hopefully what you see on, the podcast, in any content we create, is that we are increasing the value of what we do and not drawing attention, away from us onto something that feels cooler and, something that we want to deter people from, because we don't.
And one thing I really like about what our training is, what we stand for and what we believe. I was in 2 situations this past week where I was talking to a doctor about science, and it came about, how science is just always changing.
Interesting.
And then another thing, that the crypto's in the news now. How crypto's the new stuff, it's a changing, it's the new
That's a good
trend.
point. That's a really good point.
And all that stuff will always be changing. TikTok, MySpace, all the way from here to there, But the things that we do here are the non-changing principles. And these principles fit into all the things that are changing. So we're really proud of the fact that we talk about the non-changing principles of human nature and life, and it applies to everything.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know, like with real estate, it's like that to me is like the unchanging thing versus like crypto of just investing. Like real estate from the beginning of time has been profitable, has been valuable, has been sought after. Whereas like crypto and Bitcoin, it's not even like I think Bitcoin, you like trade in Luna. Like it's not even like real money. Like I don't even know what that is. And while it might be like a quick situation, it's not reliable. And that's what's so cool about sales skills and like unchanging principles is that you can depend on them. Like they are reliable and they help you predict what the future looks like. Like when I think about crypto, it's like, we don't know. Let's put our money, let's see. But in something like real estate, like you can have predictability in what is going to happen with your money for the most part. Of course, like nothing's fully predictable, but for the most part, you can look at the past and see what the future is going to hold. And that's what's cool about sales skills is like you can know when you talk to X amount of people with the right skills, you can get this result. And there is nothing more freeing than to know that you can have a predictable outcome if you need it.
It's
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important. It's game changing. Well, if you enjoyed this, we actually have a workshop coming up. Actually, tomorrow. It's going to be Wednesday, February the 23rd
Mhm.
at 12 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct? At 2 p.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February the 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, we are doing a handling objections workshop. This was probably our most popular workshop that we've done. And what's cool about it is there's lots of different ways to handle objections. And that's what we're going to kind of, so we're going to workshop with 5 people. And so they're going to tell us like, hey, this is the objection I typically get. And what's cool is like, you can handle objections before they ever come. Like if you're getting a consistent objection, there's a way to actually create content around it without like pointing it out, but building value to where it's worth it. Because that's what all handling objections is making the objection smaller and the value bigger. And so we're going to workshop real time with 5 people. What's really valuable about this is that I think that when you see it in other people's industries and you watch other people get coached, that's when the light bulbs come on. And that's why we love lab and guide culture. That's where the magic happens. People learn the content, they get some homework, and then they come and put it into action in lab and get coaching. The first person that gets coached in lab typically has the biggest aha moments, the biggest light bulb moments. They have the longest time getting coached because everybody else changes their stuff as the first person's getting coached. And so like I just encourage you and in all of your life just to fight to be first to be coached, fight to be first to just like give it a go because you're going to win the most ultimately. So come to the workshop, apply to get coached. Even if you don't get chosen, come. You can ask questions in the chat and have an incredible experience. It's totally free. It's going to be so awesome. You got any comments on
No,
that?
I'm just excited. It was really, really good. The feedback was awesome.
Yeah.
And it's really, I think my favorite part about a lot of the workshop stuff that happens because this is sales skills in general, but so many people's stuff, like it ends up being such a similar root problem.
That's what's so cool.
And so it's really encouraging to see whether it's a hairdresser or a network marketer or a dietitian, we all like can really come together and rally around, some of the same pain points and also the same resolutions. That's just really cool.
So cool.
And the same structure is there for all of it once you kind of understand the structure.
Yep.
That's amazing. Sydney has a question. She says, cold calling / walk-in question. I'm a social media manager helping local businesses. Do you have a single framework for approaching potential clients? I know I need to take guide culture. Sydney Lucas. Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm just proud of you for just like walking in to businesses, hitting the pavement. You're doing what the most people are not doing, which means you're going to get results that most people don't get. So I'm proud of you for doing that, first of all. A framework.
Yeah, we do have a framework.
For sure.
And usually what happens, we give you a framework. It's like you lead with value, and then you do a little pullback, and then you do some things there to make them want to chase you just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, but then once you do it, you repeat it over and over and over, so you get some reps in, so it becomes natural, and then you tweak it, and then you start owning it and using that for your approach.
Yeah, for sure. Sydney, when I think about like cold communication in general, like what is so cool about guide culture, like one of the biggest things you learn is how to go from a shallow conversation to a deep connection quickly. Because that's what's most important here. A cold is like, I don't know you. And so your number one goal is how do I get known and get trusted quick? And luckily there really is a way for you to get the right information, to be liked quickly and to position your message for them specifically.
Mhm.
It can be really tempting to be like, I do social media for like brick and mortar, or I do social media for businesses. And while that's awesome and it is true what you do, how can you specifically help Kat?
Mhm.
How can you specifically help Lloyd? Because it's going to be different based on what you learn about them.
Mhm.
And so that is what you learn. That's just a part of what you learn in guide culture is how do I get from I don't know you to we love each other quickly and effectively and then guide them from there.
Mhm. Such a
So
good
the answer is yes. And also what's cool is that when you have that skill, you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Wow, that's so cool, Sydney.
What I'm traveling with my husband this year and God has put on heart to help one. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That's
and,
an amazing mission.
and Sydney, what's cool about like when you help businesses and you go from cold to liked and trusted quickly, like you can like business owners feel a connection with each other, right? So it's like when someone's like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I like instantly I'm like, okay, like I love you, like we get each other, I know what you go through, we're
Mhm.
connected. So if you're helping this business owner and this business owner, like connecting them is gonna be beneficial from them and they're gonna bond into having you as their social media. I mean, there are just so many threads to what you have the potential to do. And all the difference is going to be is communicating it in the right way with the
Mhm.
right people.
Yeah, and Sydney, you have one huge thing going for you. Your heart's in the right place.
For
Yeah.
You're
sure.
approaching it the right way, the right heart. And that's the top of all of it. Then the way we say it is what we help you do, but your heart's there.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got anything, Kitty?
No, I'm trying to stay away from the word potential because I heard that it makes people feel a little bit endless.
Okay.
But what I feel and what I see the thread is
Uh-huh.
like just Sydney, lean in and trust your heart
Mhm.
and don't embrace awkward as you
Mhm.
love these people because it will come out a little bit funky a couple of times.
Mhm.
But like Macy said, how can you get to them to know you and you to know
Mhm.
them and build that relationship as quickly as possible? And I just like the one thing I would just say is like care about them. Don't care
Mhm.
about yourself.
That's right.
Yes, you want to be known, but make that the result of you caring about them first and being
Mhm.
curious about them. And honestly, if you spot a business and your husband's like down the street doing something for his work or whatever, like do like a second of research. Like just do a peep,
Yeah.
And then when you approach it, a little bit more towards like, oh,
Yeah.
like this chick cares,
Yeah.
And
You already
then
have a solution almost.
I'm just like looking at town to town to town. How many reps?
Oh yeah.
How many? Like
Oh, yeah.
honestly, how many reps can you get?
Mhm.
And something we've been talking about a lot lately is just like how to. I mean, Atomic Habits talks about this. High Performance Habits talks about this. We were on a podcast yesterday, talked about this.
Mhm.
How do you not just repeat the same mistakes over and over, but look for improvement in each rep? Like really be honest with yourself about
Good.
where did that go wrong? How could I have
Mhm.
done that better? And if you have the opportunity to take guide culture, you absolutely can do it on the road.
Oh yeah.
So just stay. I recognize your name, so stay in touch with us on the Guide Culture Instagram, and we'll make sure that you're in conversation.
And keep in mind, if you're going to help one person, you may have to walk in to see between 5 and 10 to end up helping one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She said yes, we'll have 2 weeks in each town we are
Wow.
in. Okay,
Wow.
that means
Well,
so you
that's
could
20 or 30 then.
Okay, listen, Sydney. Guide culture's 8 weeks. That means you could kind of get live reps with 4 different basically businesses within guide culture.
Oh yeah.
So if you could kind of line this up, guide culture, the closing date is April 22nd to enroll. If you can get in a place where you can kind of get in guide culture and have a coach walk with you through each and every business opportunity, like to because Kat is saying, hey, like get a rep and then correct yourself.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is like get a rep, correct yourself, and have a coach help make sure
Ideally, yeah.
that because you can do something wrong for a long time and it gets you in the wrong place. But as you get like just slowly corrected alongside
It
of
gives you a
you.
great opportunity to work on the material, work in the lab, and then go out and use it.
Oh my
right
gosh.
Away. The best you can do is to be able
How much
to use it
confidence
right
is she going to have walking into businesses?
And then it builds. It's a great opportunity to use what you're learning.
And
Major.
something, since we know that the April date is a while away, there's
Mhm.
a couple of things that you would get as a gift. But the first one is actually a one-on-one strategy call that's happening next week, I believe.
Yeah.
Like the dates are next week for anyone who signs up before Friday. So if
Yeah.
you decide to put your stake in the ground
Mhm.
before Friday the 25th, then you get a strategy call, and then you can talk about some of these things and really think
Ooh,
through
yeah.
like what is my position,
What's
how
the pill?
can I approach,
Mhm.
and just get that running start
Mhm.
before your cohort starts in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking that question, Sydney. We're super proud of you. All right, family. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Guide Culture Show. Always submit your questions, your thoughts. This was such a good question. It was just on my Instagram. It was a random question, but I think it's going to be so helpful for so many of you that honestly aren't selling the trendy thing. And if that is you, if you're selling the thing that's not the cool thing, you should be so proud of that because you have the potential to you have the opportunity to have longevity in your business, and you have the opportunity to
So true.
master
So true.
something. And while the easy thing potentially could be to lean into what's going where the attention is, you'll have longevity, you'll have mastery, and you'll be able to actually help people for the long run, which is ultimately what you want. I know.
Absolutely.
Yes, you're welcome.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll see you on the objection call tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, February the 23rd, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.